Inside the Dugout, powered by CubaDugout.com, your resource for discovering Cuban baseball. Welcome inside the Dugout. Today's guest is a former infielder for both the Metropolitanos and Industriales. Please welcome Roberto Ramirez.
Yeah, hi everybody. How you doing, man?
Thanks for joining us, and especially thanks for doing this in English. Looks like you put a lot of work into that. Really appreciate that. And over time, I'm hoping that my Spanish improves. But for now, this is the best way for me to communicate, and I really appreciate that. So let's get right to it. Talk about what it was like growing up in Cuba and playing baseball.
Well, growing up in Cuba it's a happy childhood. Because you got a lot of freedom as a kid. You can play outside. Always a lot of kids around. You're always doing something out there. And then playing baseball, it's a good experience. It's a different experience than other places I've been. It's all about baseball. You play in the street. You play in the park. You play anywhere you have a little space. You go and play. It's good to play over there. I love it. I love the Cuban baseball.
Perfect. How old were you when you first started playing the game?
I start 8 years old. 8 years old. Because I start first on Taekwondo. That's something big back then in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Taekwondo was something big in the area. My brother was real good. He was black belt and everything. So I first joined Taekwondo, but then I was watching the kids practicing and playing tournaments. It got that little bug on my stomach. I left there. I had quit Taekwondo. I went to the baseball. It's a funny story. It's a funny story history. It's like because the Taekwondo sensei, let's put it like that, he was a real strict guy. He hates baseball. He used to hate baseball. And then I jumped in the other side. It was right next to the Taekwondo place where we was practicing. Every time I was seeing him, I was getting into Dugout, hiding myself, and he was around the area. Trying to that my sensei didn't see me on the baseball field. And then one day he saw me, I was scared. I never been so scared about somebody in my life. And he talked to me, say, "Oh, you jump on baseball? Oh, come on, man, you a traitor." I didn't know what to say. And then he just laughed and said, "Okay, I know, I understand. Your family is all baseball," because my family was well known because my uncle, Rodolfo Puente. So they know sooner or later I would be on baseball.
Perfect. So actually that comes to mind for me. You recently spoke with Yusuf and Giordano at Pelota Cubana, and I recently discussed with Yusuf, and actually we discussed Yuneski Maya, who also started in Taekwondo. So don't know if those paths ever crossed, but interesting that the number of players that started in another sport discipline, where a lot of people would think that, baseball, you come out of the womb and you're wearing a glove, versus obviously you discovered it just a little bit later, still very young at 8, but a little bit later. So you spent, obviously you got into the development system, and played for both, the Metropolitanos and for Industriales. How did you get discovered? How does a young player get into that stream to the point that they can end up playing in the Cuban National Series?
In my case was a little bit hard because since little kid, I was rejected. Everywhere, I never made any Havana team. It was the best talent of Havana to play the national, let's put little leagues or whatever. I never made any of those teams. And even juvenile, 15U, none of that. He always was rejected because my size or whatever. I don't know why, because I always show like a lot of like a talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fast, I was good hitter, both sides, bunter, great fielder, discipline. I was struggling a little bit to make it there. I make it there when I grew up. It was something real important. It was I started playing with the veterans and the Latino Americano. It was they was playing every Sunday. Some games they needed a shortstop because Ray Vicente Anglada and Juan Padilla. They was managing on the national series. So I have to. They needed shortstop. They brought me in. My uncle brought me in. I played. They saw a lot of talent on me. They say, "How you went in none of the Havana teams?" In the younger ages, they say, "I don't know." Ask the coaches. I don't know why. They said, "No. We gotta basically promote you as a talent on the city." But I have good provinciales. Provinciales is the tournament, the Havana tournament. Yeah, I was killing it over there. And then they promote me, but I got that little already promotion from those veterans and the presidents of the India back in there, Roberto Rodriguez. Thanks a lot. He helped me around that time a lot. But I had to show on the tournament. I had to hit a lot. Then I went to it's like a sub 23 years old. It's the kind of like we call it Liga de Desarrollo. Like the talents, the younger talent play like a national event. I have to kill it there to kind of make the team. I went straight to the Industrial. That affected my career.
So, and we've seen in the past couple of years that they had revived the sub 23 series to get a little bit more development time for some of the players that, as you say, might be blocked from playing in the national series, get them a little bit more conditioning. But it's interesting to find out that basically you're kind of like a walk-on. We hear the stories about that in college football and in football, but very interesting to find that you were basically a walk-on, and that your talent and your work ethic couldn't be denied, and that eventually, you debut with the Yankees of Cuban baseball, with the top team in Havana. Talk a little bit about that experience as well. Maybe give people a little bit of information on what it was like in Havana at that time with the Metropolitanos that played in the same league, but sometimes were treated a little bit more like a development team, and maybe what it meant to get a break either with the Metros and then to either go to Industriales, or what the perceptions were as players.
Yeah. It was a difference between Metro and Industriales. Yes, it was clear. Industriales was treated like the number one. The number one, they got more facilities, better facilities and everything. It was more kind of the government of the city was more trying to improve the Industriales than the Metropolitan. That was clear. Everybody know that. So everybody was trying to get to the Industriales. So, but for the young talent, I think it was better go to Metropolitano first. Because then you have more chance to play with less pressure. The pressure is not just you seeing a whole bunch of people. It's the coaching, the government, the city government, pressuring you to win. Then if you do something wrong, you can be punished as a player. I have less game time. That was the difference between Industrial and Metropolitan. Metropolitan, you got a little more freedom to play. As a young player, you can make some mistakes, but guess what? You keep playing. Industrial, it was a little more restricted. You have to be basically perfect. You have to come up and show up and play well. That's what happened. That happened to me. So it happened to me when I went to Industrial. Just first season as a rookie, it was tough for me because I know my chance to play is not gonna be that much. You know what I'm saying? I was in the Metropolitano training camp first. Then the last almost a month before the season start, they changed me to Industriales. Yeah, I was a little bit there. Oh, well, whatever. Yeah, I know I didn't want to have too much playing time. So, but it was a good experience. I had a little view of how it is being Industriales after, as a young kid, I was following Industriales always in the games and everything. I was an Industriales fan, to be honest. And then be there with all those good players, cool, Yacel Gomez, etc. it was kind of like I was like basically dreaming. But it was tough. It was tough.
Mhm. And so, and your path is probably parallel, and there's probably a lot of crossover as well with some of the other players that have had a big impact for Industriales, including Frank Camilo Morion, Styler Hernandez, Alexander Maeta. That when you look back, obviously are better known for their time with Industriales, and some of that continuing today. But similarly, spent some time developing with the Metropolitanos as well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Metropolitano was real important for all those players. Most of those players who passed from Metropolitano, they got to say thank you. They got to thanks to that team for what the rising star that was laid. The Metropolitano make that happen to many of the guys. Then was real good on Industrial. I will give you a little story.
Sure.
Sergey Perez. I don't know if you remember him. He was one of the biggest talent of Havana. No Havana, Cuba. When he was in juvenile age. When he came to the national series, he went straight to Industrial like he was the hope. But he didn't do good. Couple of years. They got tired of it. They throw him back to Metropolitano, almost like getting rid of him. But what happened? Sergey Perez improved a lot on Metropolitano. And then they brought him back to Industriales. Then Industriales, he did a good job. So Sergey Perez had to thanks to Metropolitano, then all what he did in Industriales right after.
Interesting. And so we see, or personally, I see a parallel a little bit that we see that Artemisa has kind of taken the place of Metropolitanos to a little less regard, but a lot of key players are kind of being developed there and then are sent to Industriales. But interesting that Maiveke doesn't have the same experience, despite the fact that they're in close proximity. The other thing, and maybe this can tie into, and you can tell a little bit about your story, that it looks as if increasing players are getting a little bit frustrated in being blocked and being able to go to play for Industriales and or the national team, and then with the lure of the greater potential of playing in the majors, seems to me that there's a disordinate amount of talent that seems to be coming out of Maiveke and out of the adjacent kind of to Havana City. Just curious what you think about that, and maybe tell us what kind of led you to pursue baseball off the island.
What happened to me? It's a long story. I was a guy always struggling with opportunities. Always struggles with opportunities. Whatever I was doing, many managers didn't see the talent what I can offer to the team. I was always swimming against the flow. Why? I don't know. I was always a disciplined guy, training hard, 200% player on the field, sliding, diving, doing everything I had to do, running. Never lazy, stuff like that. I struggle a lot. So basically, I got tired to struggle on a Cuban base. So it was a couple little stories that made my mind change a little bit. It made me come over here. My first pre-selection, I came from the Netherlands Rotterdam tournament.
Yep.
I had a great season that year. I was one of the best talents on the position in that moment in Cuba. Yeah, we come to this pre-selection. It was a particular one because we played like 18 games around the whole country on TV, national TV. I was the most complete shortstop on that particular pre-selection. I did the best plays, like numerous of plays, good plays, like top plays. I was hitting, I was bunting, I was doing everything a player can do. And it was a particular situation. I was one of the fastest guys of the whole entire pre-selection. I get Nelson Fernandez in Havana. I hit a base hit. I go to second. I had a nice game that day. They put a runner for me, Rudy Reyes. I was way faster than Rudy Reyes. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are you running for me? He said, I don't know. coach sent it to me. Okay, I went to Dugout. Eric, what's going on here? You know what? I'm the fastest guy. They did a test like week before the running test. I was the fastest runner. I'm like, what's going on here? That was kind of like a sign to say they don't want me on that team because I was doing too good. I wasn't on their plan. Their plan wasn't me on the national team that year.
As always, subscribe here on YouTube, smash the like button like a hanging slider, or share this video.